Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining me today in this live broadcast on herbal treatments and home remedies for headaches. Now, headaches there's 100 causes to headaches, so probably one of the most difficult things to treat because to treat it, you have to know the causes. So we're going to cover many different causes of headaches here today. And then, in Ayurveda, there's different types of headaches. So only when you know the cause, which will help you know the type of headache that you have, can you treat it. So, we have general herbs that like white willow bark, feverfew, etc., that can just help with the pain. And of course, there's other types of essential oils and homeopathy that can help with the pain. But only when you know the cause and the type of the headache can you treat it. So this is the most important part of treating a headache. So we're going to cover only 3 types of headaches today in detail with the herbal remedies, because that's what I have. I have some herbal remedies for Vata type, Pitta type, Kapha type. So we're going to cover these 3 types, and you can, if you have a headache or migraine or chronic headaches or regular headaches, you can. The first thing you need to do is classify it by its type, Vata, Pitta, Kapha, and then you also need to know the causes. So let's talk about some of the causes, and then we'll go into that we're not covering, but you should be aware of. Of course, there's what you call like a referred headache, and this can become from a tooth or a gum infection, even an ear infection, of course. So you need to treat the cause. You need to treat the tooth infection. You need to treat the ear infection. In fact, I think next week or in 2 weeks, I'm doing a webinar on tooth and gum infection. So you don't want to miss that if that's the cause of your headache. So, and I do have different tooth powders. I have different gum powders to bring down the inflammation. I have oils that you can put in your ear to help with ear infection as well. So you need to treat the cause. So we're not covering that. Of course, if you have a bad infection, you have a fever, this also can contribute to certain types of inflammatory headache and heating, the head becoming hot and creating a type of frontal lobe headache, burning eyes, and heat. Another type of headache is just pure emotional headache. For example, anxiety and fear can create a headache. In that case, you should do something to relax, relaxing tea, calming tea, sleeping tea. That's what the treatment should be partially, because the cause, if it's identified as fear and anxiety, which is a mental Vata imbalance, then you need to treat not just the headache, but the cause. And then, of course, anger, irritability, judgment, can create, a burning and, hot-headed person. Their face gets red and hot, their eyes get bloodshot, their blood pressure goes up, and they can get a headache. So, we have different formulas for this called cool head, which is for anger, calm and cool, which is for anxiety. And of course, there's other dietary guidelines that you'd want to follow to avoid this rajasic state of anger. So you'd want to treat that cause. You can still take herbs to help with the pain once you have it, but you need to address the cause. And the third type of emotional headache is the Kapha type of emotional headache. Depression, attachment, sadness, can create a heavy, dull type of headache, and constant, all through the day. So, and it can just be from depression, your emotional state. So that's besides referred headaches, you also have emotional headaches, a little bit outside of the scope of our subject today, but it is important to identify your headache. We really could have called this course probably causes of headaches and just left it at that. Now I could have spoke on each of these, but we're still going to talk about treatments in general and treatments for Vata type, Pitta type, Kapha type. But there's also, pathological headaches, I guess you could call them, from other type of diseases or conditions, such as high blood pressure. A lot of people with high blood pressure, their ears get red, their eyes get bloodshot, veins start poking out here on the side when the pressure is high. Irritability goes up, and they get headaches too. And then, of course, a tumor in the brain can cause chronic headache. Other causes are allergies, just respiratory allergies by blocking the nasal passages, which is kind of a Kapha headache because there's blockage, congestion in the nasal passages, and you can have this dull, throbbing kind of headache due to this blockage, and there can be runny nose and other signs and symptoms of allergy. So, of course, you have to treat the allergy. And then there can be chemical sensitivity, or we should say chemical toxicity, which creates a type of chemical sensitivity. That's where you smells and different all bother you. Maybe the smell of cheap perfume or cigarettes, or just even paint, or just something, a little smell or toxic substance. We always use the joke, cheap perfumes, and then that person gets a headache from it. Well, this is liver toxicity. This is chemical toxicity in the liver. So we have to treat the liver. Also with allergies, we often have to treat the liver, and we have to clear the sinus passages. So, but when you have this type of headache that's triggered by chemicals and scents and smells, we always treat the liver. And of course, there's many different types of treatments for liver, and I have many videos on that subject. And it would depend on the individual what type of herbs they would have for their liver. And of course, any type of eye problems, even nearsightedness, farsightedness, glaucoma, cataracts, can also lead to headaches. And I did do a webinar recently on eye conditions, and I did cover cataracts and glaucoma. So if you haven't seen that, look for that YouTube video. It is available. And also a deficiency, just certain nutritional deficiencies, particularly B12. People take a lot of B12, but, lack of B12 creates fatigue and weakness. But, it also can create headaches, even mineral deficiencies, calcium, magnesium. But we'll just call those, deficiency, nutritional deficiency related. And usually they're overcome through improving digestion, absorption. In fact, it's very common. I have a Vata, Prakriti, Vata, Vrudi type of people who are thin, light, dry, and somewhat depleted and underweight. And when they eat, and with maybe poor digestion or constipation. So once that digestion improves, absorption improves, they're eating more, putting on more weight, they overcome these deficiencies, and this chronic headache they've had for 10, 15 years goes away. So I've seen this quite often. And even just types of inflammation, inflammation in the arteries, inflammation in the muscles. We see people come in with joint pain and headaches. So we treat the inflammation. The inflammation comes down systemically, and the headache also goes away. So usually I don't treat headaches on the first appointment because I realize that there's underlying causes, and these causes are probably causing other health issues as well. When you're nutritionally deficient, you're going to be tired and fatigued. And when you have inflammation systemically, you're going to have pain. So, and of course, if you have an infection, you have to treat these. If you have allergies, you have to treat it. Other causes, of course, are just, scoliosis of the spine, any type of, fatigue, exhaustion. There's just many causes of headaches. So we're going to talk about the three types in Ayurveda, the three types of headaches. So even the cause of the headache could be allergies, infection, cold, flu, respiratory problems, nutritional deficiency. You can further classify them as a type, Vata, Pitta, Kapha. So we're going to talk about these three, and we're going to talk about treating them, because we'll always have to treat the cause. That'll be part of the treatment. That's why people get a lot of herbs, for a headache, because you're going to have a couple herbs for the cause. Maybe getting lack of sleep will create a headache. So if, anxiety, lack of sleep, nutritional deficiencies, inflammation, all of those could be going on in the person, and they have headaches. So we don't know which one is the major cause, but we're going to help them relax with relaxing teas, get them off their coffee, give them sleeping herbs to sleep, give them strengthening and building formulas to build tissue, improve digestion, and help them actually, improve their nutritional level and their strength and their stamina, and not be depleted and weak. And then often we find these headaches go away. So That's why I tend not to treat headaches on the first appointment, unless that's what the appointment is for. And I always try to give some home remedies as well. So let me do a couple home remedies, and then we'll do the Vata Pitta Kapha. I know we're holding out for this because home remedies can help. The most famous home remedy is putting your feet in hot water, or a bucket of hot water. Doesn't have to be too hot, just nice and warm. And then putting like some kind of ice pack on the back of your head, or people have just got frozen vegetables and just put it on top of their head, you know, and that cold is kind of numbing, and, you know, it brings the blood and the blood pressure down to the feet and pulls it down. So, you know, this is not curing it, but hey, when you have this type of headache, it is helpful. Now, of course, we didn't mention migraines. Migraines are more complex, and Ayurveda, they're Vata pushing Pitta. So I will cover that to some degree. Other home remedies are usually paste. We have different type of paste. We use a sandalwood paste. I would take it out and show you, but sandalwood is quite red. See, I'll put a little bit there on my hand. You'll see it's quite red. I'll almost rub it on my forehead, but then, you know, it probably wouldn't come off. But there's sandalwood paste. It's not cheap. See, it's quite orange. That's made my fingers quite orange. So you get this paste. This is for Pitta type, where there's, you know, inflammation around the eyes, which we're going to cover, and burning around the eyes, heat around the eyes, where bright lights bother you. That's the Pitta type. So we're talking about the 3 types. I'm there. I'm doing it. So first type is Pitta type. That one is the bright lights are killing you. Oh, it's burning. It's hot. I got to close my eyes. Got to go inside. Anger, short-tempered, eyes become bloodshot, and much of the pain is like frontal around the eyes, you know, and it's very sharp pain, very sharp and painful. And that one, you know, you don't want to put your feet in too much hot water. You get the sandalwood paste. Well, I give it to you as a patient. Sandalwood paste, we just mix it with some water or even a little coconut oil, because coconut oil is cooling, and put it all over the face. We also use what's called Brahmi oil. We have it here, Brahmi oil. There's 2 types of Brahmi oil, and, you know, it says for mental clarity, and it's just a nasa. And this particular one is for the Pitta type, where you've got this headache, and it's called nasa. We put it in the nose. See, we're often treating headaches with the herbs going in the nose, nasa. This one is in Brahmi oil, which is one of the best oils, best herbs for the brain, Brahmi, but it's the oil of the herb in coconut oil, which is cooling. You just put a little bit in each nose and snort that in, and that will cool and calm the entire head. And I even can get that coconut oil. Here it is from, here's a brand that's made it. See, it's called Organic Brahmi Oil in coconut oil. It comes in, there it is, coconut oil base. So that's it. And it comes also in a sesame oil base. So that's the Vata type. We covered the Pitta type. Remember, the bright lights, the hot, you got to go inside. You got to turn off all the lights. You got to close your eyes. You got to take a nap and take some Pitta balancing herbs. We use this formula here. This is Ayurvedic headache formula. We have many headache formulas. The P is for Pitta. See, it's for hot frontal headaches, migraines, inflammation, body heat. You know, you take 1 or 2 teaspoons in some water, cooled 2 or 3 times a day. And there's the cooling herb, Shatavari, sweet and cooling, Guduchi Sattva. That is very Guduchi. It's not Guduchi, it's Guduchi Sattva. Very, very cooling, brings down the whole body temperature. Kamadudaras is 12 herbs and also cooling. Shank Basma is from a shell and also cooling. So this is a very cooling formula. And you put, that's why it's so cooling. We only sell it in small little containers, and it has been proven very effective. That's why we even keep that one on the shelf. So again, you would be avoiding foods like for Pitta type. We're on the Pitta type headache. I don't know why I did Pitta type headache first, but that's what we did. No sour foods, no hot foods, no peanuts, no tomatoes, no chocolate, no fermented foods. Nasa in the nose with Brahmi coconut oil. Couple of teaspoons of this a day, as needed, and other cooling substances like coconut water, and no hot substances, no hot showers, no hot baths, and maybe just the ice pack on the top of the head is all you need. You don't even need the warm in the feet. So those would be the type of guidelines I give a person. And if it's really bad, we can always throw in that nerve and headache tea: white willow bark, feverfew, chamomile, skullcap, and licorice. White willow bark, of course, the source of aspirin. We can give that to anybody if the headache, they just want to get rid of the pain. White willow bark, organic, of course. We can see it. It is the bark of a tree, and that's just what aspirin was originally made from. So that has like a mild aspirin effect. So that's the way I would treat that condition. And feverfew is well known for helping headaches and inflammation as well. And chamomile is a little relaxing. So licorice is more like a catalyst, making all the herbs work better together. So that would be my treatment for Pitta. Okay, now, and of course, another cause for Pitta type headaches is heartburn, acidity, heat, and, rajasic type of activities like, aggression and some sports, you want to chill down. So Vata type headache usually is neurological, coming up from the back of the head, from the back of the spine, and it's more throbbing, shooting, more vague. It's moving around different parts of the body, or the head, I should say, coming and going, and can be caused by poor digestion and constipation, and of course, anxiety. So this Vata type person, and being cold, poor circulation. So we may give the Vata type person, particularly if they're getting lightheaded and dizzy, their hands and feet are cold. See, there's a circulation problem, not enough blood and oxygen getting up to the brain. So sometimes we give those type of people the circulation tea, because this will, just like it says, help reduce circulation in the whole body. And there we go. Ginkgo, one of the best herbs for the mind and circulation. Hawthorn, we use it for high blood pressure. Butcher's broom is used for clearing the arteries. Rosemary, circulation. Cinnamon, circulation. Rose hips and ginger, all again warming circulatory herbs, warming the body, getting the blood up to the head. This is the Vata type. And we'll generally give them herbs to get the bowels moving, because there's a connection between constipation, blockage in the body. Something's blocked, it's not coming out, and you get the headache. And there's an upward movement of energy in Ayurveda. Upanavayu, it's moving up. We want Udanavayu. We want Apanavayu. We want it moving down. So we take the herbs like Enrad Haritaki and even a little castor oil at night, and that will move the energy down, move the bowels down, and take the pressure away from the head. And this is how we treat this Vata type headache, which is probably the most common. And then, of course, we would avoid dry foods, cold foods, nothing cold, no cold drinks, no cold water, everything warm, cinnamon, onions, and certain things that help, warm soups, hydrating, because you could even get headache from dehydration. So, you want to make sure this Vata type person who's dry, spacey, lightheaded, getting these throbbing headaches, jumping all over the place, coming and going, that they're very hydrated and not having cold foods. Okay, so those are the two main types. Oh, and we have a formula for them. We usually give it in a bigger jar because it's just the way things have turned out. See, Ayurvedic headache formula, V for Vata. And this is like tension headache. That's the word I was looking for. These are more like tension headaches, emitting from the back of the spine and from stress. So you could take more. This is more common. Rasna is a painkiller. We're using Rasna for pain. Vacha opens up all the channels. Dashamula is anti-inflammatory, means 10 roots. Ashwagandha balances the Vata. Jatamatsi is a relaxing nervine. And then Godanti Basma is very cooling. It's a basma, and it's going at a very cellular level of cooling and even calming the nerves at a very deep level. It's a very special basma. But Rasna is very warm and heating and helps a lot with pain and stuff. We can just give Rasna, direct Rasna, Dashamula, and Jatamatsi for pain. It's working very nice for pain. So those we have 2 formulas for headache. And of course, if it's really bad and they're on aspirin, we'll throw the tea in as well. And particularly for that type of person, we would give them, make sure they have more chamomile and skullcap to help them relax. And of course, you could always throw in relaxing tea, calming tea, if you knew stress was a real trigger here. So that's the Vata type, and they got to keep the bowels moving, keep the digestion going, and because that can be one of the big problems. So the next type of headache is the Kapha type of headache. Kapha type headache, remember Pitta type headache, it's like a knife. You got to just go in the room and close the door and turn the lights off. Vata type headaches coming and going, throbbing, crazy. And then and Pitta is sharp like a knife. Well, Kapha type headache, of course, as you know, if you're Ayurvedic, studying Ayurveda, is going to have the qualities of Kapha. It's going to be heavy, dull headache, like there's a big rock sitting on your head. And so this particular headache, is a lot of times is involved with allergies, respiratory congestion, blockages in the respiratory passages. And so we have another a nasa. Nasas are always good, just like for the Vata, we would give the brain oil, but not in coconut oil and sesame oil. And we have another little nasya that you put in your nose for Kapha. It's called clearing. So it's not like this one. This Brahmi oil is more calming and cooling when it's in coconut oil, and helping with circulation when it's in sesame oil. But we have another one that's just called clearing. So we're not even worried about the headache. All we're doing is clearing. And this one's in sesame oil, a little mustard oil, a little eucalyptus oil, and even a little black pepper. And you put that baby up your nose. Wow, your eyes start watering. The nasal passages start running. You're blowing your nose. You're just clearing your right out. I mean, quickly. You snort it. And you can do little home remedies by yourself. I mean, you can put mix some sesame oil with a little mustard oil, snort a couple drops up your nose. I wouldn't do pure mustard oil. It's pretty hot. But this is herbal oils. And you can also just go in the bathroom and or get a pot of water for this type of Kapha headache. And Kapha headache can do good with heat and steam. So you can throw herbs in a pot. Like you could even just grab thyme, sage, rosemary, a little black pepper, some ginger, and then cook it all up and have it steaming, and put the towel over your head and inhale all that in and clean out all these nasal passages, or just take a hot shower and clean it out. But these herbs, these herbal oils, and or you could just put a couple drops of eucalyptus oil in there. You can put a pan, put some eucalyptus oil, breathe it in, get a humidifier with some eucalyptus oil, breathe it in, clear out these nasal passages. And of course, the dietary guidelines would be no dairy, no meat, no cheese, and definitely no yogurt. This is the most clogging and congestive of all foods. And fasting can help for the Kapha type. So they could always just fast, take some showers, and to get moving and get systems going and clear the nasal passages. And treat the allergies in most cases. Allergy is behind most Kapha conditions. Well, stress and anxiety is behind most Vata headache conditions, and inflammation and even high blood pressure are often the main causes behind Pitta headaches. So once again, you have to know the cause or causes of your headaches. Could be 3 or 4 causes. That's why nobody can figure it out. It's like you have to be an investigator. When is it happening? What's triggering it? And a lot of times the people know. You just have to ask the right questions to get the answers, to investigate. What are the triggers? And most of the time it's 2 or 3. And there also can be combinations like Vata and Pitta headaches. And when Vata is pushing Pitta, then you get these migraines, the worst type of headache. So usually that type of case, we just have to custom make the formula for that individual. But it's very common that this Vata Pitta headache is the worst one, because the Vata's high, Pitta's high. And we do have a formula, we just don't have it on the shelf for this type of Vata Pitta migraine headache. But we don't keep it on the shelf, and we just do it case by case to see If there's more Pitta or less Pitta, we'll change the contents of the herbs, or at least the percent of the herbs that I put in. And then in that case, we have to balance both Vata and Pitta in the individual and put them on a more Vata Pitta balancing diet. So again, you have to know the cause, you have to treat the causes, then you have to break it down by the type. Of course, in this case, the type is if it's a Vata, Pitta, or Kapha type. And then you have to change the diet. You can always try a few home remedies. And then on top of that, you take the herbal remedies to treat it. And if you're not making great progress, you can just drink the nerve and headache tea all day long, at least get you off the aspirin, because it's not going to go away until the causes are removed and the dosha is in balance. So if you've got respiratory issues that are leading to these headaches, and you're not going to go away until you treat the respiratory condition. And of course, this respiratory condition is congestion, is kapha imbalance. So you have to bring the kapha down, balance the kapha. There's usually a kapha vrudi, high kapha, and so we have to balance it. Same with vata. If nervousness, anxiety, fear are the cause, we have to manage the emotions with the herbs and balance vata at the same time. For pitta, it could be high blood pressure and even anger. So we'd have to balance the pitta, treat the anger, treat the blood pressure, and then we would see these headaches diminish. Because a headache is not a disease, it's only a symptom. So you should not really try to treat the headache. You should try to know the causes and treat the causes. And then use the headache as your indicator that you are successfully addressing the causes. So that is the best way to treat headaches. They are very tricky. I would much rather have somebody with high blood pressure or high blood sugar or arthritic pain than a headache coming to me, because it's easier for me to diagnose these other conditions than it is a headache. So, but you do get better at it over time. There's many types of headaches, many causes, and it just takes experience to be able to identify these causes and to create formulas and teas that will address both the causes and the symptoms. So I hope that helps you, ladies and gentlemen. Feel free to contact me if you need assistance with a chronic headache, or which of course I'm going to treat you holistically. I'm not going to even treat just the headache on the appointment. Sometimes people say, okay, just give me your headache tea. No, I won't do it. Because you're going to drink the headache tea and it's going to get a little better. And when you stop drinking the headache tea, it's all going to come back. You're right where you were. So there's no point in just, say, give me the headache tea, which I always get calls after these webinars. Okay, I don't want an appointment. Just give me the tea. I'm going, nope. Doesn't work like that. You're going to have to change your diet. You're going to have to accept these causes, which could be your coffee, could be your chocolate, could be your eating habits, could be your constipation, could be your poor sleep. So all these I'm going to identify, and then I'm going to work on those to eliminate them. And then I'm going to see whether the headache goes away, because then that's my feedback. So always better to have a truly holistic treatment when it comes to headaches, and not just try to take a little white willow bark and get rid of it for the night. Okay. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I hope this was a valuable lesson for you. I hope it helped give you hope and understanding that headaches are very treatable. And once you identify these causes, the types, and you proceed with that knowledge. Thank you very much.